Have you ever wondered why a simple good morning message can make your heart flutter, or why silence can feel so loud it makes you feel forgotten? I remember one morning, as the first light slipped through the curtains, I opened my eyes with a heart full of hope and hesitation. I was about to type, "Good morning. Hope you slept well." It was the kind of message anyone could send. I told myself I just wanted to keep it simple, to be kind. But then I paused, because deep down, I wanted something more. I wanted to send something that made the other person feel like they weren't just another name in a sea of morning texts. There was a fleeting moment when I thought about how people usually send messages. They unlock their phones, check the time, think, "Yeah, I'll text them good morning," but they rarely stop to think what that greeting means, or whether it leaves a mark. I asked myself, if a morning message could be the spark that makes someone think of me before they even get out of bed, do I dare to become that light? You see, dawn is not just the moment when night turns into day. It's a promise that today can begin anew, full of possibility. And a good morning message can be the same. It's a promise of remembrance, a quiet way to say, "I thought of you before anything else." But often, that promise lives only in the sender's heart, lost among countless other greetings from family, friends, and work. You don't want to be just another notification. You want to be the reason their heart pauses for a moment, gently. I remember hearing a phrase somewhere, that words are not just strings of letters. They're symbols, keys to the deeper places in our minds, where we hide both our fears and our longings. Those symbols, when sent at the right time, with intention, with breath, with a touch of mystery, hold far more power than a simple good morning ever suggests. Imagine waking up, your phone lights up, and you see their message. "Good morning. You won't believe what I dreamt about you last night." It's short. It's unexpected. And suddenly, your imagination wakes up. You open your eyes wider, think back to your sleep, your dreams, and wonder, what did she dream? That quiet curiosity slips in, and you can't resist it. No matter how busy the day gets, you'll remember that message, that person, and the feeling of being thought of. What if, instead of a generic greeting, you tried something different, something that makes the other person smile, wonder, and feel cherished? That feeling when someone wants to open the door to your mind, not to rush in, but to knock gently, letting you decide whether to open. That's the power of a message sent with awareness. But there are also mornings when I send the message, wait for a reply, and get silence. Not because he's cold, but maybe because the message didn't awaken anything in him. No curiosity, no sense of being seen, nothing to remember me by at the end of the day. I ask myself, was the light I sent strong enough to break through the haze of his morning thoughts? If a good morning message is like the opening note of a song, then if it's too plain, too predictable, it leaves no echo. But if you play it, like the start of a melody, a promise of something untold, the listener will want to hear more. They'll ask questions. They'll come back to the sender for the next line. And in that first light of the new day, when everything is still soft, when the mind hasn't been pulled into tasks, a message filled with a hint of mystery and real emotion can take up space in someone's thoughts, not because it's poetic, but because it makes them feel seen, remembered, wanted. Do you believe this? The difference isn't whether you send a greeting or not. It's in how you send it, in whether you dare to lace it with a bit of mystery, a spark of curiosity, a piece of your heart. When the sun rises, you're not just a name in their contact list. You are the first person who appears in their thoughts, not only in dreams, but in that delicate moment before their eyes fully open. So, how do we make a morning greeting more than just a greeting? How do we turn it into the beginning of a deeper connection? In the next part, I'll share with you the common mistakes we often make without realizing in our messages, and how to gently but powerfully avoid them. No one wants to be just another name someone scrolls past. But sometimes, without realizing it, the way we open a conversation pushes us into the background of someone's mind. I used to send messages to a man I truly cared about. Every morning, faithfully, I would write, "Good morning. Hope you have a wonderful day." It sounded kind, right? But day by day, his replies became shorter, more distant. Then one morning, nothing. Silence. No scene, no reply. I sat staring at the screen feeling empty. Not because I was embarrassed, but because I realized I hadn't actually touched anything real in him. The truth is, those picture-perfect greetings, sounded just like the hundreds or thousands of messages he could have received from anyone. They had no emotional weight, nothing to hold on to. They were kind, yes, but they didn't make him pause. They were like a faint scent drifting in the breeze, pleasant, but gone too fast. Worse still, in moments of weakness, I once sent messages like, "Good morning, handsome. I know I shouldn't bother you, but I just wanted to say I miss you." Sounds sweet, but in reality, it was more like saying, "I'm handing you all my feelings, and you don't even have to do anything." Deep down, the person receiving it doesn't hear love. They hear need, too much availability, no boundaries. That subtle sense that you're trying to cling to them in every way, and that makes them step back. Not because they're unkind, but because humans naturally pull away from unspoken pressure. We don't realize we're dimming our own light. The message stops being an open doorway into our world and starts looking like a sign that says, "Please notice me." Carl Jung once said, "Most of what we call connection is actually us projecting our unfulfilled desires onto someone else. You're not truly seeing them, you're seeing yourself, hoping to be reflected back in their eyes." And when you write a message with hope in your heart but receive nothing in return, the pain doesn't come from them. It comes from placing too much meaning into a few words. Words you weren't even sure came from confidence or from the fear of being forgotten. Imagine walking through a crowd and someone walks up and says, "Hi, are you okay?" You might smile, respond politely, but you won't think about them later. You won't feel stirred. There's nothing in their words that makes you feel they saw something special in you. That's how polite but soulless morning messages work. Even worse is when you say, "Good morning, hope you have a lovely day," and follow it with, "I know I shouldn't bother you." It's just, you think you're being gentle, but what you're really saying is, "I'm asking for permission to exist in your life." But you don't need to ask for permission to be present. If your presence is natural, memorable, and brings something beautiful. This isn't about pretending not to care. It's about sending out energy that has value. Something that makes the other person want to open your message, want to reply, not out of duty, but because of how it makes them feel. You see, a message isn't just something you send. It's a wave of emotion. It carries your energy. And if that energy holds anxiety, neediness, fear of being left behind, then no matter how cute your words are, the other person will feel it in some quiet way. But if your message carries confidence, peace, a bit of humor, a hint of mystery, the recipient will feel drawn in without knowing why. I once tried changing things up. Instead of "Good morning, hope you slept well," I wrote, "Sleep okay? There's a song I heard this morning that weirdly reminded me of you." No extra explanation. No waiting around for a reply. And guess what? He replied 5 minutes later, asked, "What song?" One greeting turned into a conversation. That conversation opened a sense of closeness. We often think we need flowery words, poetic lines, cute emojis. But sometimes, just a touch of honesty and a small spark of curiosity is enough to make someone stop and take notice. And if you're wondering, so what should I write to create real feeling without trying too hard? Wait for the next part. There are greetings that don't say everything, yet make it impossible for the other person to look away. They aren't flirtatious lines. They're open doors, stirring curiosity, and that's where everything begins. There's a quiet truth no one really talks about. Emotions don't begin with clarity. They begin with the kind of mystery that pulls you in. The human mind is strange. It hates unfinished things, but is drawn to them all the same. We don't like being left hanging, yet we live for the search for answers. I still remember the first time I tried sending what I call a slightly open door message. Not a typical greeting, not a compliment, not a polite question. I simply wrote, "Good morning. I had the strangest dream about you, but I'm not sure I should tell you yet." No emojis, no exclamation points, no "Did you sleep well?" And I didn't try to be cute either. I just let it drift out like that, with no expectations, just wondering what might happen if I didn't give too much and let him want to come closer on his own. A few hours later, he replied, "Tell me, what did you dream?" And from that one unfinished sentence came a long conversation, not just about the dream, but about parts of him I had never seen before. Gentle sides, vulnerable ones, even playful ones, all from one message, left hanging. Why did such a short message carry so much power? Because when you don't say everything, the other person fills in the rest. And imagination is where emotion is born. Carl Jung once said that what is unclear in the unconscious gets filled with symbols and images. And the strange thing is, what's created through imagination is often stronger than truth. You don't need a complete story. You just need to plant a seed, a suggestion, a sentence left unfinished. Like a movie trailer that cuts off just as the main character turns around, face filled with fear. Like a scent that drifts past and makes someone turn their head to find it. Like someone writing a sentence and stopping just before the climax, we can't stand not knowing. And that's where your chance to be remembered begins. But here's one important rule. Don't break the mystery you just created. If he replies with, "What was the dream?" don't answer right away. You might say, "I can't tell you through text. Guess?" Or, "Not sure you're ready to hear it." When you do this, you're letting his imagination build a world. And in that world, you are at the center. I have a close friend who once tried this. She sent a message. "I had a dream about you last night. It was kind of strange." He didn't just ask her about it. He started sharing one of his own dreams. What followed was not just a talk about dreams, but about personality, desires, past memories, and unspoken thoughts. An untold dream opened up a real connection. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need to actually have a dream. What you need is a real feeling, an honest way of speaking, a genuine curiosity. You're not just sending a message. You're leading a small emotional dance where everything is half lit. And that mystery is what makes it magnetic. If you say everything from the start, what is there left to discover? If you spill all your thoughts at once, what is there left to imagine? People don't remember what's obvious. They remember what makes their heart skip a beat. Instead of saying, "Good morning, hope you have a great day," try, "This morning, a song made me think of a moment with you." Strange, right? Or simply, "Have you ever thought, if we had met earlier, would things have been different?" Each one is an incomplete sentence, not fully explained. But it leaves a soft question, and that's what lingers. When you plant an open-ended question, you're inviting someone into your space. No need for loud words or over-the-top expressions. Just know that you're gently opening a door, and most importantly, don't rush to close it. There are mornings when I send just one line. "There's something I've never told you, and for some reason, I thought of it this morning." No need to explain. That's enough to make the other person's mind start spinning. You see, a message like that doesn't need fancy words. It only needs a little less. A little less information, a little less clarity, a little more mystery. And mystery, when given at the right moment, to the right person, is a stronger thread than any declaration of love. You're not sending a report. You're sending a breath with rhythm, with pauses, with something unexpected. And that way, you're not just touching their phone screen. You're touching memory, the unconscious. That place, Jung said, holds all the unformed desires. Over time, I realized you don't always need to be mysterious. But if you can hold back just a little, leave something unsaid, then you've already made your way into their thoughts. You don't have to shout to be noticed. You just need to place a well-timed ellipsis and then walk away softly. As if you already know, they'll come looking for the rest of the story. Curiosity is where it all begins. But emotion is what makes someone stay. In the next part, I'll share how even a simple message, when sent right, can reach all the way into someone's heart. There's a kind of message that doesn't make someone's heart race from surprise, nor stir dramatic curiosity with untold secrets. Yet it carries a quiet strength that stays, gently, and lingers longer than anything else. It's like a soft hand resting on your shoulder, when you don't even realize you need someone to reach for. I don't always know what to write to create connection. There are mornings when I also type the usual lines. "Good morning. Hope you have a wonderful day." Nothing wrong with it. But deep down, I know those words carry no real weight. They're correct, but hollow. As if anyone could have sent them. As if I wasn't truly there. One day, I tried something different. I wrote, "Good morning. I hope today brings you something truly worthy. Not because you need it, but because you deserve it." No fancy words. No effort to impress. But about an hour later, he replied, "Thank you. That's strange. I don't know why, but this message made me feel peaceful." And that's when I realized sometimes what we need isn't humor or mystery or clever phrasing. It's something real, light, and sincere enough to touch the part of someone not on the surface, but deep within the part they hide every day. Jung once said that emotions that are suppressed don't disappear. They just wait in silence, hoping someone will touch them the right way. Relationships don't grow distant because of lack of action, but because of lack of emotion. Lack of those small moments when someone feels seen for who they are, without needing to perform or prove anything. And a message, if it's honest enough, can be that moment. But don't confuse kindness with touching the heart. A sentence like, "Hope you have a nice day," isn't wrong. But if it lacks soul, it will drift by like the thousands of other messages they've received. The difference lies in how you make the other person feel, not in what you write, but in what they feel inside after reading it. Another time I wrote, "Today I kept thinking about the story you told last week. I don't know why, but I couldn't stop picturing the look in your eyes when you told it. No questions, no lead-ins, just a gentle reminder that I had listened and felt something." Do you know what makes words special? Not their length, but your presence in them. When you truly listen to someone, you'll notice what others miss. And when you softly bring that up again, you make them feel seen not just with your eyes, but with your heart. Emotion doesn't have to be loud to be deep. Often, it's the gentlest things that stay the longest. I once asked a man, "What's your biggest dream right now?" He didn't answer right away. But hours later, he wrote a long message. Not because the question was clever, but because no one had asked him that in a long time. No one really wanted to know. No one listened without interrupting. No one gave him the space to simply be himself. And when you're the one who gives someone that kind of space, you don't have to do much. They'll open up on their own because everyone carries a story they've never told. When he shared, I didn't jump in with advice or talk about my own emotions. I simply replied, "Thank you for telling me. I can feel how much that means to you." That was it. A reply that didn't interrupt, didn't change the subject. Un invisible imbrace. And you know what? It's in those moments that real connection begins. This isn't the art of effective communication or a trick to make someone remember you. This is honesty. This is the courage to truly see someone without needing anything back. It's sending a piece of your emotion, not to get a reply, but because it deserves to be sent. They might not always respond, but if the message is real, it will land. Maybe not right away, maybe hours later, but it will leave something in their heart. And sometimes that's all it takes. You don't need to tell a long story. You don't need to write like a poet. You just need to ask what few people ask. Touch what few people dare to touch. Try texting. "This morning I thought about something you once said, and I realized I still haven't fully understood you." Or simply, "If today turns out to be a rough day, I hope at least you know that someone is thinking of you sincerely." You're not flirting. You're offering a piece of your genuine feeling. And that's what sets you apart. Because once emotion has touched the heart, no one can pretend it wasn't there. Reaching someone's heart is precious. But if you also know how to invite their imagination to join the dance, then the emotion doesn't just stay, it starts to grow. In the next part, I'll share how a message, even one that seems simple, can light up an entire world in his mind, a world where he places you as part of it. There are stories that never actually happened, yet they feel more vivid than anything we've ever lived. Because they aren't limited by reality. They are born from imagination, a place with no boundaries, no timeline, no conditions. And if you can invite someone into that space of imagination with you, then even without a single real memory between the two of you, you can still create something deeply connected and real. I once texted a man, "If you could be anywhere in the world this morning, where would you choose?" He replied after a few minutes, "An empty beach, no loud waves, no people, just soft sunlight and a hot cup of coffee." I didn't just respond with a compliment. I wrote, "I'm picturing it already. You, holding the coffee in your left hand, your right hand resting gently in the sand, eyes squinting from the Sunday. Do you love the kind of quiet where every sound feels like a whisper?" He paused, then messaged back, "How do you see it so clearly? Can you read my mind?" No, I wasn't reading anything. I just let my imagination take the lead. And in that space, I created a softer version of him and placed myself in that scene, not as someone asking, but as someone who understood. Jung believed imagination was a bridge to the unconscious, a space where desires, memories, and images are not constrained by reason. And in that space, emotions expand because they haven't been worn down by reality. Here's what's fascinating. When you invite someone to imagine something with you, the feelings they experience in that imagined world naturally attach to you as if you were the one who made them feel it. You don't need much. Just a line like, "If it rained today, would you curl up under a blanket? Or run outside and dance in it like a kid?" Or, "I just heard a song and pictured a road trip with no destination. You in the passenger seat, windows down, not saying a word. These are just images. But because they are images, they bypass logic and go straight into the subconscious. They don't need to be understood. They just need to be felt. And when someone feels something with you, whether it's real or not, they remember you. Not as a conversation, but as an experience. Have you ever thought of someone just because they reminded you of a specific feeling? Not because they did anything grand, but because they're tied to a certain image, a moment, a calm that stays with you. That's what makes someone irreplaceable. One morning I wrote, if I had a free afternoon in Paris, I'd walk alone through the Marais, holding a latte, and stop by the tiniest used bookstore. But I think I'd enjoy it more if someone came with me. Someone who could be silent the whole time but still make me feel accompanied. And he replied, I can stay silent. But do I get to hold your hand? Not a long reply, not flashy. But you know what? I smiled the whole day. Because in that imagined world, he placed himself quietly beside me. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to be there. That's the beauty of creating a world with images, sounds, scents, and feelings. The other person will step into it not because you pulled them in, but because they want to be part of it. And in that world, you both exist as a shared memory that never happened, yet feels entirely real. Try texting. If tonight is cold, and there's a room with warm yellow light, soft jazz playing, and someone sitting nearby, what story would you tell first? Or, if life had no schedule, and tomorrow was completely free, how would you spend it if I let you choose? You're not asking to get an answer. You're inviting their mind to start building a scene. And when that scene has you in it, you've gone deeper than any goodnight message ever could. I have one rule. Never end imagination with a period. Always leave space. Let the other person add the next detail. That's how you create a two-person game one, where no one wins. You simply keep playing together. Because emotion doesn't come from information. It comes from experience. And imagination, when invited the right way, becomes a bridge no one wants to turn back from. And if you think imagination is everything, then let me tell you what comes next. Memory. Because emotions aren't only born from things that never were, they also live on through things that once were, or through a fleeting moment someone brings back at just the right time. There are memories so small, we barely remember the details. Just an afternoon where sunlight slipped through the trees, an old song playing in a quiet cafe, a fleeting moment that seemed like nothing, yet makes us pause, smile softly, or sigh without knowing why. Because a memory doesn't need to be grand to become a feeling. It only needs to arrive at the right moment. And if you know how to gently bring back a piece of memory, whether real or imagined, you can make someone think of you in a way they can't recreate with anyone else. I once texted, "Good morning. I walked past the park this morning and suddenly remembered that time we fought over who got to sit on the bench by the lake. I still think you gave in on purpose, even though you pretended your back hurt," he replied within minutes. "You really do remember everything. I don't even remember what part of my back was hurting." We laughed. And after that came a conversation about all the little things, how it was drizzling that day, the ice cream truck near the corner, the scarf he forgot, and I didn't return until weeks later. What mattered wasn't what we remembered, but that we remembered together. In that shared space, what once seemed small became a thread, quietly tying our hearts. Because emotion doesn't need a long past. It just needs one common touchpoint. Jung once said, "Emotional symbols come from the collective unconscious, but their true power lies in being attached to the personal," which means a park bench might mean nothing to thousands of people, but to you and one person, it can become your symbol if you bring it back at the right time. Not everyone has a clear memory to share, but here's the magic. Even if nothing has happened yet, you can still create a memory through imagination and make it feel just as real. Once, I wrote, "This morning I pictured myself walking on a beach just after the sun had set. Gentle waves, warm sand under my feet, sandals in my hand. And strangely, in that picture, you were beside me, saying nothing, just smiling every time I splashed water on your legs." He sent a laughing emoji, then wrote, "The way you describe it, it feels like I've already lived that moment." That's the beauty of emotional imagination. It can become memory, even if it never happened, because the feeling it creates is real, and that's enough to make it part of someone's mind. You don't need to be wildly creative. Just observe, feel, and maybe ask gently, Do you remember that? Or I wonder if it happened again. Would you choose differently? Sometimes I send messages like, "Good morning. I still remember that time you laughed so hard when I dropped my phone into the bubble tea." I don't remember if the phone survived, but I remember your eyes so clearly. Or, "I heard that song again today." Not sure if you'd remember which one, but I bet if you heard it, you'd go silent for a second, just like I did. See? No need to say, "I miss you." No need to declare anything. And still, it lingers. Because when someone is gently brought back to a beautiful feeling, whether they actually had it or just might have, you're no longer just the sender of a message. You become the keeper of a part of them no one else can reach. And there's something even deeper. Recognition. Not flattery. Not praise. But seeing something truly unique in someone, something they might not even notice in themselves. I once wrote, "Good morning. I just remembered this small thing, how you always roll up your sleeves before focusing on something. I don't know why, but it makes me feel calm." He took a while, then replied, "Nobody's ever said that to me before. And you found it comforting?" It wasn't a compliment about looks, talent, or charm. It was a detail only I noticed, and I shared it not to impress, but so he knew he had been truly seen. Not for what he shows, but for how he is, quietly, naturally, when no one is watching. People often live feeling invisible, surrounded, yet unseen. And when just one person notices the small things, they'll never forget it. Not because your words were perfect, but because you became living proof that I exist. I was seen. You don't have to be the only one who loves them. But if you're the only one who noticed something genuinely unique, you will never be forgotten. Not everyone is good at expressing feelings, but everyone has feelings they hope someone else will see and touch gently. Try this one morning. "I always notice how you go quiet when someone says something meaningful. I've never seen you interrupt, and I respect that about you." Or, "The way you furrow your brow when you're thinking seriously, even if it's something small, that's when you look most real to me." You don't need to say, "I like you." No need for a confession. But with words like that, you're giving them a gift, the feeling of being deeply understood, without having to explain. And that's a gift few people ever receive in this life. From shared emotions, you can bring back an entire world. But if you know how to create anticipation, how to stir sweet longing, you won't just live in their memories. You'll become something they want to return to. In the final part, I'll share how a single, simple message can make someone wait for you, even if they don't realize they are. In our hearts, not to hide, but to create the most magical part of connection between two people. Anticipation. We often believe that being clear, honest, and fast is best. But people don't live entirely in the present. We live for the feeling of being awaited, of promises that stretch just beyond reach, of doors half open with mysteries behind them. And in that exact moment, when they don't yet know what's coming, you are held deepest in their mind. I once sent a message on a clear morning. "Good morning. I'm preparing a little surprise for you. I can't wait to see your face when you find out what island I didn't explain. I didn't make big promises. I didn't create pressure. I just left an open sentence, an incomplete feeling, a story not yet told." And he replied almost instantly, "What is it? Tell me. You've got me distracted all through my meeting. Do you see what happened?" He couldn't let it go. His mind couldn't disconnect, because when you spark anticipation, you create a mental gap, and every gap demands to be filled. Jung once wrote that what is incomplete lives in the unconscious as a lingering shadow, and the less defined it is, the more powerful it becomes. That's why things that are postponed with care have such pull. They awaken curiosity and keep hearts tethered. Anticipation, when guided gently, becomes an invisible thread connecting two minds. You don't need to constantly reach out. You don't need to ask, "Are you thinking of me?" Because you've already planted a seed in their thoughts, and it grows all on its own. One morning, I texted, "I won't say it today, but once I do, you won't see me the same anymore." Silence. No explanations. No follow-up. And what I got in return was suspense, imagination, the stirring of thoughts and emotions all at once. He asked, "What is it? Is it good or bad?" I simply wrote, "That depends on how you see it." And so, he thought, he imagined. He created stories in his head. And in every version, I was there. I became part of that undefined space, the one that's the hardest to forget. Here's what you should remember. You don't need a big surprise, or an expensive gift, or an elaborate plan. Sometimes it's just a single sentence, a song, a detail you'll send later. What matters isn't how big an island. What matters is the thought that something is waiting ahead. You might text, "I picked a song for you this morning, but I'm saving it for the right moment." Or, "I have a funny story that involves you, but today's not the day to tell it. I want to keep it just a little longer." Or even simply, "I know what makes you different from everyone I've ever known. I'll tell you someday." Just a few words, but they're slow-burning sparks. They don't ignite instantly. They warm the whole day. Waiting is a special feeling. It makes everything more meaningful. It makes someone think of you not only when you're texting, but even when you're not. It's not presence that creates connection. It's the space you leave when you're not immediately there. And if that space is beautiful, if it's real, they'll fill it with their own longing. Don't be afraid if they don't reply right away. Don't panic if there's silence. Sometimes, silence is proof. You've touched the right place, the one that needs time to be felt. And when they come back, it won't be out of obligation. It will be because they truly want to know what's waiting for them. I once ended a morning with a message. "I'm thinking of something small, something silly, but I'll tell you when you're not busy." No follow-up, nothing more that day. By evening, he messaged, "I'm done with work. Can I hear it now?" That feeling, it's not about winning. It's not about getting attention. It's the sense that you've created a private place in someone's heart where you don't need to knock each time they'll open the door themselves, because they want to hear the rest of the story you only just began. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The value of a person lies in what they bring into the lives of others." And when your messages know how to stir anticipation, what you bring isn't just words or information. It's delayed emotion and aftertaste, like the music that still lingers after the movie has ended. You don't need to be great at writing. Just be real. You don't need strategy. Just be intentional. And have the courage to not say everything, because people won't remember what you said. They'll remember how you made them feel. And often, the deepest feelings come not from what you say, but from what you almost said. So in these final lines, if there's one thing I hope you take with you, it's this. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Maya Angelou, send your message as if you're painting a picture inside their heart. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. And if you paint with emotion, with presence, with imagination, with memory, with the things left unsaid, you will never be forgotten. You know, sometimes what makes someone unforgettable isn't what they did, but what they almost did. Not the words they said, but the moment they chose silence. Not the gift they gave, but the feeling that someone is holding something unspoken and no one knows when they'll finally share it. Like a letter never sent, a song that ends on a silent note, a dream with no clear face. It's the unfinished parts that never let us go. And maybe what makes someone truly unforgettable is when they become the kind of question no one ever wants to fully answer. Thank you for staying with me until the very end of this story. If this message touched your heart, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss the next journey we take together. Your support means the world to me.